In today's video, we're redefining self-reliance with the ultimate guide to storing dried goods. Today, we're going to look at exactly how to store dried goods for extended shelf life, 20 to 25 years. We're storing about 300 pounds of rice today and just about 50 pounds of beans. So we have a lot of food storage to do, but I want to walk through the steps so that you know exactly how to store that food to maximize its shelf life so that you have peace of mind knowing that if anything happens, you're prepared. Now let's answer a couple of questions real fast before we get into the how-to, and that's why. Why would we even want to do this? Well, first of all, what this does is it protects the food against those things that naturally deteriorate the nutrients and the freshness of it. It protects it against moisture, protects it against sunlight, protects it against rodents and insects, and it also protects it against oxygen. Those are the things that deteriorate our food the most. So by eliminating those factors, it prolongs the shelf life. Beyond just what it does for the food, there's some reasons we should have stored dried goods. Dried goods are the staple of any prepper pantry, of any preparedness plan. They're relatively inexpensive, they store for a long period of time, and they are those central ingredients that we get most of the calories from when we start talking about survival meals. Rice, beans, lentils, legumes, pastas, all of those things count as dried goods. Now I know what you're saying, why would I ever need food for 20 or 25 years? We live in America, we live in the place of abundance, we're never going to need to store food. Well, I think that we should really look at some places like Venezuela and other places that were on the mountaintop. They were at the summit of prosperity and then they crashed because nothing is guaranteed. As a matter of fact, the fragility of our supply chain is being exposed each and every day, and the instability all over the globe is causing some things to happen that we should be concerned about, that should make us want to have peace of mind when it comes to storing food for our families. But now, let's get into the how-tos of doing this. So let's quickly take a look at the things we need in order to properly pack the food that we're trying to store. First of all, we're going to need 5-gallon buckets. Now, these 5-gallon buckets, they don't have to be food-grade buckets. And the reason they don't have to be food-grade buckets is because we're going to line them with Mylar bags. Food-grade buckets are great. And listen, if you have food-grade buckets, I still don't like to store directly into the bucket, but you can do that. You can store directly into a food-grade bucket, but lining the bucket with Mylar is a much better practice. The Mylar protects it from oxygen, protects it from the atmospheric conditions, from moisture, from light, from all those things, and then the bucket protects it from rodents. Mylar bags are not puncture proof. We use these Wallaby bags, which are the best on the market, but they're still not puncture proof. But a 5-gallon bucket will give you the rigidity and the safety you need on the outside to keep an easy puncture or a rodent from getting into your food. We're also going to need oxygen absorbers. These oxygen absorbers go down inside the Mylar bag and they pull that oxygen that deteriorates and causes the chemical reaction in food to speed up, which causes food to go bad. And these oxygen absorbers remove the oxygen. You're going to need 2,000 cc's of oxygen absorber per 5-gallon bucket of rice. You're also going to need diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is what ensures that if there are any insect larvae on the inside of your... Now listen, I know that's a gross thought, but it doesn't matter where you buy the food. There is a potential for insect larvae to already be in those dried goods, to already be in the rice, to already be in the beans. And diatomaceous earth is going to ensure that there's not an infestation of insects or larvae when you open your food 10, 15, 20 years down the road, and that your food is still going to be intact because it will literally destroy that insect larva before it has time to hatch and propagate. Now, lids for buckets. There's a couple of different kind of lids and things that you want to think about. This is just a standard lid. It's just a standard snap-on lid. It snaps on the top of the bucket and it creates an airtight seal. Holds out moisture again, holds out rodents. But this is not a lid that you want once you start using the contents of the bucket. These are hard to open. So you want something like a gamma lid. Basically what this is it's a frame that screws onto that snaps onto the bucket just like other lids, but then the center screws out so that it's resealable. And then once you begin to use the contents of that bucket, you can simply use the gamma lid to reseal that bucket over and over again as you take the portion that you're preparing for your dinners. All right, now let's get into how we do this, how we actually store it. So we're going to take our 5-gallon Mylar bag. These Wallaby Mylar bags, they also have a Ziploc feature, a resealable feature. So once you begin to use out of the bag, you can just simply Ziploc it shut and will keep it airtight. But you can also heat seal the bag. So we're going to just place the Mylar bag inside the 5-gallon bucket, and then I like to fold it down over the top of the bucket so that it's easy to get the rice on the inside. Now we're going to take our rice. Each Mylar bag is going to hold roughly 30 pounds of rice. So we're going to just begin to pour the rice into our Mylar bag. These are 25-pound bags of rice. We're going to give it a good shake and make sure that that rice is packing down on the inside of that bag. So there's one entire 25-pound bag of rice. So now let's open a second bag and let's finish filling it up. Okay, now that we've got our bag filled to the top, we're going to take 1 cup of diatomaceous earth per 5-gallon bucket, and we're just going to sprinkle it in across the top. Here are our oxygen absorber. These are 1,000 cc oxygen absorbers. So we're going to place 2 1,000 cc oxygen absorbers inside our bag because we need 2,000 cc's for a full bag of rice. Then we're going to press the air out of the bag. And we're going to leave the spine of the bag sticking up as flush as we can. To seal our Mylar bag, straightening iron. Now listen, gentlemen, if you're the one doing this, I have 2 recommendations. Either buy a straightening iron that you can use for this, or do this when your wife is not home so she doesn't know you're using her straightening iron to seal your Mylar bags. It's not going to damage it at all, but you will have a hard time convincing her that it's not going to damage it. So then we just place it across the top, pull it really slowly across the top, and seal that bag. You want to make sure that you get a really good heat seal on the bag. So you're just going to slowly make sure that you have it done. Then we're going to fold it. And we're going to fold it back into the bag. We're ensuring that no oxygen or moisture can get into our food. And now this food's ready for a 25-year shelf life. Okay, now I know this is rice because we put rice in white buckets. We have a color code system, and I'm going to give you a download of that color code system that we use. You can just go to the link in the description below and grab that. You don't have to enter your email address or anything. We just want to give you that color code system. It's just a simple way to follow. But now, if I'm storing different kinds of rice, now this really comes into play with beans because beans go in blue buckets, but there's black beans, there's pinto beans, there's all kinds of beans. So we also label each bucket so that we know what kind of bean or what kind of medical supply. You'll see that on the list, what exactly is in there, but we can take a quick inventory of beans, rice, those kind of things at a quick glance when you use the color-coded system. Now, we do have another free resource for you if you don't know where to get started in your food storage plan, because just randomly doing something, that doesn't usually work. Hope is not a strategy. So what we have done is we've created the Emergency Food Storage Calculator. Just follow the link in the description below, and it will carry you to that food calculator. When you get to the food calculator, You get to enter your parameters, your criteria, and it's going to give you a detailed list. Listen, not just bulk calories like most of the calculators do. We're going to break down what of each item you need to store to meet those goals, to meet those caloric goals. And that comes in an email, an itemized list. So we ask for your email address. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to sell your email. And then it's going to come with about 4 or 5 weeks of help to help you get started on that plan, some weekly encouragement, and the first steps that you need to take in order to get that plan accomplished. If you like this video, I think you're going to like this other video too. So go ahead and click on this end screen card and watch our next video. Until next time, remember, we're all just growing and learning.